Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dying Time is here. That's right, we're talking about Jason X, the very end of it, on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from outer space. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. We're going to unpack all the goriest of details from Jason X in the hopes that a spacefarer's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes that we might make about them. And as always, there is only one person that I trust to reach out when I'm about to be sucked out of a spaceship, the one and the only Gina Radcliffe. How you doing, Gina?
Well, I'm broken. I'm exhausted. I'm a world-weary shell of a woman. I watched the end of this movie tonight, and for a few minutes, I was sorry I'd ever heard the name Patrick Hamilton. I was sorry. Oh my God. I was sorry that I accepted your friend requests on Facebook. I'm sorry that I said, "Oh, this is interesting. Someone's messaging me. Let me see what this is." Just sorry. Full of regret, just raising my hands to the heavens and saying, "Why did I do this?" You know, and then I just decided, well, I guess this week we're named Brick and Cypher.
You hear it here first. This is Brick coming at you, Cypher. I assume that you're happy that this will be our last foray into Jason X at this point.
I am so happy. I don't ever want to talk about this movie ever again. I would be willing to have 20 more episodes about part 5 with people arguing that no, really, it's the best of the series. I would rather do that than watch this movie or talk about it ever.
Yes. For those who didn't listen to last week's Friday the 13th episode, I cajole you to do so. It is a very fun episode, and we had two people who almost won me over to thinking that perhaps part 5 is better than Jason X, and after watching this section, I might be on Team Cypher with this.
It's 100%. Part 5 is much better, while still being terrible. Yeah. It's still much better than Jason X.
There's a verisimilitude to part 5, if only because it doesn't have to fake some of the things that this has to fake. And so therefore, you don't have to are they really in the wilderness? Is that sky blue? Does rain exist? I don't believe that anything in this movie exists. It all looks fake. It all looks stupid. It all looks really terrible. And this is the 5. How many episodes did it take to get all the way through this shitburger?
I don't know. 6, 47.
15, 20. I feel like we've been talking about it forever.
Like I said, our beards grow ever more luxurious.
But you know what? There are greener pastures ahead of us. I think we will. I'm hoping that the remake proves to be a nice refresher for you once we get to it.
I'm cautiously, at best, optimistic.
I'm not going to oversell it, but I believe that it does not contain the multitude of problems that Jason X has. Let's put it that way.
No, it couldn't possibly.
No, it would be almost impossible. But whoa, Gina, I don't want to alarm you, but we are not alone. That's right, we have a special guest. You may have heard him from his very own show, talking about Turtle, the one, the only, Andrew Schwartz. How you doing, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me, Brick and Cypher.
You're welcome. We don't have a code name for you, so if you want to think one up, but it has to kind of go in a sequence, it might have to start with a D.
Just D. D is good.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. It's easy to remember. It's just to the point.
Yeah, sure. I'm down with that. Why not? I've been worn down by this film in order to complain about anything. I'm just happy to finally be called Brick, the thing that I've always wanted to be called my entire life.
You're just giving in and being talked into everything. You just bought Ollie a car.
Yeah.
You know, just he's 6. So, but he might need it in 10 years.
That's right. Oh my God. This movie. Andrew, before we get to Jason X in particular, let's talk about Friday the 13th in general. Our tradition here is to ask our guests what their first introduction was to the Friday the 13th franchise. What was it for you, sir?
Well, I'm pretty sure this was actually my first introduction to the franchise.
Oh, Jesus.
When this came out? 2001? 2000?
2002. It sat on a shelf for 2 years.
So I was about 13 years old when this came out. So I'm watching it because I was a scared little boy. I did not like watching horror movies. I would get scared a lot. I had to cover my eyes and stuff like that. I sweat so much in the theater from watching a horror movie. I watched The Witch in the theater with even my girlfriend next to me, and I'm sweating, covering my eyes, just water pouring down. I was drenched. But Jason X was my first introduction. I thought it was kind of cool because it's not scary and it tries to be funny. And when you're a young little boy, you think, oh, this is funny. And then when you watch it years later, you realize, oh, no, it's none of those things.
When you gain some maturity and insight, you're like, oh, this fucking sucks.
When I became a man, I put away childish things. Like Jason X.
If only we could have put Jason X away. So, I'm going to guess upon this particular revisit that Jason X does not land at the very tippity top of your Friday the 13th picks.
No, this was a grueling ordeal.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
It was just bad all over.
Yes, it is particularly egregious. And let's come out, and what I was maybe trying to get out before, I think this is not an excuse for Jason X, but I do believe it's an explanation. And going back to part 5, I think set this in motion for me. Part 5 doesn't ask you to believe in anything too fantastical. You know, it makes sense that a guy with huge jowls sees his son that he abandoned many years ago chopped to death with an axe because he offered an angry man a chocolate bar. And he that sets him into murder mode. That switch gets flipped. Once we get to Jason X, we're immediately in the fantastical. There's almost no grounding point in the entire movie. Rowan is supposed to be that, but she's not given much of an opportunity to as someone to get behind. I mean, she's perfectly capable. I don't think she's ill-served in terms of what she's asked to do, but no one really listens. She's just another person. She's not allowed to be special. She's not allowed to be unique. And as a result, it's just not particularly intriguing here. And then all you're left with is all the spaceship stuff. And it just comes off as very subpar. On the farthest, lowest end of subpar, Star Trek ripoff. It's not Farscape. It's not even Andromeda. It sure as shit isn't Babylon 5. I mean, it is really low rent TV sci-fi. And as a result, I just don't think it can succeed.
Well, it's also a problem in that there is technology in this movie that does not appear until the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And I guess the reveal of it is supposed to be cool, and yet it's, at least certainly in one aspect, it's like, okay, why was no one using this earlier? But we'll get to that. But like the Uber Jason thing, the virtual reality thing, which, like, okay, this was not important enough to mention to the audience earlier. You couldn't do Chekhov's virtual reality.
Well, I suppose they're trying to do Chekhov's virtual reality because this is what Dreadlocks and Todd Farmer are playing that stupid game in. And because they don't present it as fantastic, they don't make it memorable. They don't make it memorable, Gina. I think you raise a very interesting point. If they had made that look more fantastical, then the reemergence of the VR technology after the fact in their bullshit holodeck would not seem so immeasurably stupid.
Well, what makes it so confusing to me is, how does it work? Because when Jason goes through and it turns into, the virtual reality, Where is it coming from? Like, can it just happen in any room of the spaceship?
It seems to be connected in some way to I've already forgotten her name, the fucking robot KM, where they and somehow she is able to generate what Camp Crystal Lake looked like, and it's like, okay, how is she doing this? And they just generate some sexy campers, and it's just like, no, the campers never came on to Jason. Why are you can create this perfect recreation of what Camp Crystal Lake looked like, but you don't know how people behave.
But see,
Yes.
It's really funny. It's just really funny. I mean, if you're not busting a gut at this.
And you get some last minute boob shots.
Yeah, I suppose I in essence, it's trying to make fun of itself, but I don't think it understands the basic tenets of the joke, if that's what its aim is. It's purporting to go, see, the characters in Friday the 13th movies are dumb himbos and bimbos, and all they want to do is drink and... Hold on, I got a fucking motorcycle. God damn it.
It's a guy from Raising Arizona.
Oh, that would be the best thing that happened to this street in a long time. If we got some baby snatching and sawed-off shotgun action, oh my goodness. No, it's just a midlife crisis motorcycle. It's one of those. It's a good old-fashioned midlife crisis cycle.
Sort of like Jason X.
So the joke here is that these are himbos and bimbos, and they all they want to do is drink and do drugs and have sex, and they just say it out loud, and they're big dummies. And I don't feel that is inherently, after going through all these movies at an excruciating pace, that this is what these films are ultimately about. And because of that, because it doesn't know the subject, the joke really doesn't land unless you're Andrew and 13 years old.
Yeah, and it's also, the movie seems to be written by people who were unaware of the existence of not just Scream, but the Scary Movie series. Mm-hmm. Which, now, I mean, I'm not trying to claim that the Scary Movies series was comedy gold, but it covered all that already.
Yeah.
It covered how these characters are stupid and sex crazed and will do whatever it takes to get laid, even if there's a serial killer running about. That was covered already. You don't have to rehash this, and act like it's some sort of clever insight into what these movies are really about. I
have grave problems with how this particular VR is presented. Because
we're not even getting to that yet. We need to talk about Uber Jason.
Okay, let's back things up then. If we're not going to get into it until we're chronologically there, then let's really rewind and let's talk about who's still left alive at this point in the movie. We have Rowan. She's the lead character of some sort. There's Sudaron. He's dressed very poorly. And then there is his fuckbot. I'm sorry. I don't know. Are fuckbots alive? Maybe this is a weird question to ask in 2018. But we have KM. We also have Brodsky. Janessa? I guess Janessa? Who the fuck cares? They're all still alive. Even Waylander is alive in his new Zoo Review shirt. All of them are alive. And they've just witnessed the most hysterical member of their party get into an escape shuttle and try to take off while the hard arms that connect fuel to it are still attached. I can't... Listen, if you tried to do this in a car right now, the car wouldn't let you do this. Why does a spaceship 500 years in the future allow you to take off with the fuel rods still attached to the fucking escape shuttle? Like, shouldn't you have to flip a switch or something?
Yeah, it plays fast and loose with everything's really futuristic, but everything's also sort of old timey and steampunky too.
Yes, it definitely wants to be steampunky. The hallway that they're in is one of those just I mean, like, all their best design ideas were like, let's make it look like a fun couch. It's really not a design problem. I think it's lit poorly. It's lit like TV, and there's too much light everywhere, and the camera angles are all mid-shots. It's just not very inventive. Nothing pushes anything along. And so all the hard work that people might have put in to making sure that the lighting is all there, and that things kind of look vaguely coolish, just goes out the window because it ends up looking like crap. Jason shows up here, and so does Sunaron moments later.
The most flat appearance by fucking Jason, too. He just kind of, like, casually strolls into frame like, oh, I'm in this movie, too, guys.
He just walks in and stops. I just...
he does a lot. He does a lot of thoughtful pauses in this movie where he's just, like before he's just like literally just walking through doorways and just not even just turning into a killing machine. Here he's like, I'm gonna weigh my options here. I'm going to consider the situation that I'm in right now. It's like, no, he's supposed to be a mindless killing machine.
Yes.
He's not supposed to be standing there thinking, I wonder what this guy's about to do.
What does he have to fear? What is he considering? Is he trying to instill fear? Because if you are, standing there like, a background player in a sitcom is not the way to do it. He just saunters in and just stands there. When you think back to like part 4, even part 8, like as much as I disliked the bamfing Jason, at least he was a surprise when he arrived. He just kind of walks in like, hey guys, time to die, I guess?
I brought some 7-layer dip.
God, I hope I'm being scary right now.
He just wanders into scene and then starts breathing heavy again. This is something we had done away with previous to this, but all of a sudden he gets real dry and he starts using those lungs again. So he approaches the threesome of Waylander, Janissa, and Rowan, and they crawl as far up against the wall as they can, which, I really wouldn't know what to do in that situation either, but fine. This allows Sunaron to wander into the room himself and say this line, "Hey, Slappy! Fuck off! Fuck off, movie! Hey, Slappy? Where does this come from? What? This is not a nickname for Jason Voorhees. Slappy? Where does this come from? He's not like a fucking, offshoot of the Three Stooges. Where does Slappy enter into this? Who wrote this line, and why won't they pay?"
Well, you don't know. I mean, 450 years in the future, Slappy could be like some serious shit to call someone. I mean, that could be like the 22nd century C word.
It's like the most horrible slur in the future.
Exactly.
It's like, whoa. That might have been something we used during the Microsoft conflict, but we do not run around calling anybody Slappy these days.
Someone ought to wash out your mouth with space soap.
I stand corrected. Slappy's the perfect thing to say. Gina, you won me over. Oh my God. I mean, let's... in reality here, we have called Jason terrible things. We've called him a backwoods mutant. We've called him an out-of-breath fish toilet. We've claimed that he's filled to the brim with corpse juice. These are not nice things to say to Jason Voorhees, but he doesn't deserve really our niceness. At this point in time, he's killed a lot of people. But hey, Slappy is perhaps the worst rejoinder I have ever heard voiced in a supposedly professional film.
Supposedly.
I think this is supposed. This feels like a tax dodge or something you would do to make sure that you retain rights to a property. Otherwise, they're going to be taken away from you. The more I think about it, the less likely someone saw this concept and script and said, this is exactly what we need to be doing. Because the execution of it is exactly what they should never have ever done. It's not to say you can't have a Jason in space movie that wouldn't be awesome. It's just that there's all evidence to the contrary, and it's called Jason fucking X.
So yeah, he announces that he has upgraded KM. Now I'm going to repeat something a lot on this episode, and that phrase is, I have questions. For one thing, why did her upgrade require her to wear a vinyl corset with bullet straps? She looks like she should be in a Motley Crue video. Also, is there a particular reason why he waited until almost everybody was dead before upgrading her? I mean, clearly they had to wait to work out their feelings for each other first. I get that.
Yes.
I understand that they had, but considering that the time they spent off screen was about 5 minutes, he probably could have performed this upgrade a little earlier in the movie.
He honestly could have saved pretty much the whole crew at this point.
He really could have. But we'll get to that. There are several opportunities they could have saved the rest of the crew that they just don't bother with.
No, because the formula demands that people die. And while a lot of people die over the course of the film, not enough of them, there are too many. There are just too many people. And the deaths mean nothing. And so they just throw humans at this when they could have thrown what apparently is a ninja robot who shoots guns. Who has
who is pulling guns from somewhere. Because she's not wearing holsters, but she's just pulling out, blah, 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 and then boom, boom, boom. Each gun just gets progressively larger. Where is she getting these guns from?
Well, according to Sunron, he, quote, and this is an exact quote, I gave her an upload. That's even worse. But,
so
upload.
So they're just generating out of thin air? Like, is that what we're supposed to? And if that's the case, how does a virtual gun work?
Well, I'm going to give you, and this feels weird because I'm a grown man and you're a grown woman, but I'm going to tell you about the birds and the robotic bees. When a man meets a woman robot who doesn't have nipples, but you can attach them after the fact, they're an aftermarket add-on, like that clear coat they give you your new car. When he meets her and they finally decide that the odds are too stacked against them, and they finally decide, I'm going to put my penis inside of you and give you an upload, that's when you start to change into outfits that make you look like either X or Sever. I can't remember which one, but one of those two.
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. Listen, Gina, I don't want to be a mansplainer about things. This is just how it works in the 26th century. I don't know how she gets her guns. I know that the big one is strapped around her back. I don't know where the handguns that sort of look like bigger hair dryers, I don't know where they come from. She does spin them around at one point, but I don't really understand how they work.
And this scene just goes on and on and on, and it's supposed to be exciting, and it's not exciting.
No.
It's like, well, if you like seeing Jason get turned into a dust rag, then it's great. But other than that, it's just 5 minutes of this woman, this robot lady, just doing backflips for no reason, and shooting him across various hallways. And it's just, again, every gun gets progressively larger.
It's just a fucking cartoon. Just some fucking silly, stupid cartoon.
It is. It's like you expect her to roll out a cannon next.
That would have been fantastic. If she pulled a cannon out of her leg, that would have been great. But they don't have the courage of their convictions. None of it is particularly inventive or interesting. You have a robot who can kick Jason's ass, but it's like subpar Xena warrior princess choreography that's going on. And not only that, we get yet another example. This is now part 3 of the mini trope within this movie, in which people push Jason around with gunfire.
Oh yeah, she launches him across the room at one point.
Yes! She just moves him from portions of the spaceship to other portions of the spaceship with John Woo sparks going off behind him inside a space ship. And everyone talks about the danger of other shit that's going to happen if you breach the fucking hull, but nobody worries about these bullets at any point.
Yeah.
And half of them got to be going through Jason because he's made of tissue paper.
Yes. So somehow, like a gun that can shoot bullets that vaporizes someone's leg does not do any damage to the wall behind him.
How is that possible? How does this work? Why haven't people just always been shooting his limbs off? This is the like why this honestly,
I mean, who knew they were made out of popsicle sticks?
This should have been a goddamn like. It should have been silly. It should have been over top funny. It should be, if it's gonna be the stupid, be stupid. Go all out. It's not funny. What am I watching? It's not cool. Who is this for? I don't know. It makes me so fucking angry.
They really should have turned him into the Black Knight from the Holy Grail. I mean,
why doesn't anyone say it's just a flesh wound at some point? Because that's the obvious illusion you go to when someone's arm and leg have been hacked off. But they don't. And he just kind of stands there awkwardly because you can kind of see him sitting back into the harness that is obviously keeping him aloft. And it just looks terrible.
Why should you just grab his severed arm and just go, here, let me give you a hand, and then hit him with the hand? It would be funny. Be funny.
Be funny. No, she spends too much time shooting him backwards and then landing on top of him at one point and almost straddling him and saying, giddy up. What the fuck? You're on top of him. This isn't even a reverse cowgirl situation. I don't understand why they thought this would work. And I don't understand why I sat in a movie theater in Eagle Rock and I don't remember walking out happy. But I don't remember walking out like super, super mad. And the technology at play here is so laughably bad. This is more than half a decade after you erased a man's legs in Forrest Gump. And here they're like, oh, we don't have that kind of money. Just kind of hoist him up on wires. Oh, don't worry. Sit back into it. So he's kind of like, he doesn't even look like he's standing on one leg. He looks like he's sitting back into a swing.
I was so confused by that too, because they show him later. And I'm like, wait, that's not the position he was in before. What's going on?
He can't get into that position because arms and legs don't work that way. And they can't raise the wires up? I don't know. It just looks awkward and terrible. And finally, after what feels like an eternity of constant shooting, finally she fucking blows his goddamn head off.
Why she could have saved a lot of ammunition just by doing that from the beginning. But no, somebody thought this was really cool, so they had to drag it out as long as possible.
I mean, this is a good 15 years after fucking Die Hard. This is not action, people.
No.
Like, if you're going to have action sequences, hire an action guy. If you're going to make a horror movie, hire a horror guy. But whatever this guy did, I guess we learned from Phil that he was a special effects person. And some of the special effects are okay-ish, but he doesn't know how to frame an action sequence or make movement compelling in any way, shape, or form. This is listless and terrible.
No, it's because you shouldn't have an action scene that, where your audience is thinking, well, this seems to be taking a long time. I mean, think of like the fight scene in They Live. Mm-hmm. Now, that scene goes on absurdly long, and it's just endless Keith David and Roddy Piper just punching the shit out of each other over and over again, and yet it's really entertaining. But this is just like, okay, she's I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go get some water, I'm gonna say, she's still shooting him, okay, and she's just gonna stop and do a couple flips. Why? Because it looks cool.
Because part of the reason I think that was very instructive to say out loud, because part of the reason that works is that each of those two people, there's a definite goal at hand. Roddy Piper wants him to put on those glasses to see what he sees. And he's like, you're fucking nuts. I'm not doing anything that you tell me to do. I want to leave here right now. And the entire struggle is just to put those sunglasses on Keith David's face. But they each get their licks in. It's a very even fight. They wear each other down to the point where he's like, fuck, just put the fucking glasses on me and the fight will be over. Here, it's just this robot shooting Jason over and over and over and over again. And Jason doesn't fight back. You know why? Because Jason doesn't get into fights. He's not a fighter. He's a stabber.
Well,
That's it.
I feel like that with this, the main reason this scene exists is, and I might possibly have my timelines wrong, but I'm gonna go with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the way that KM is dressed in this scene, and the flipping and the leg moves and all, it's because somebody said, "Oh, have you seen that new movie, The Matrix? That was really cool. Maybe we should put in a little bit of that."
Yeah.
Give a little something for everybody here. Everyone can sit down and enjoy this. Bring the kids, bring mom.
She has nipples that fall off. This is something for everybody. And that's the thing. I don't know that a movie can deliver a little bit of Matrix. You know how The Matrix works? It's all Matrix. It's a very singular world which only works in The Matrix. That's why when other people try to make a Matrix movie, it doesn't work well at all. Here, you have them trying to take from column A and column B and a little bit here and a little bit there, and it just seems like movie salad, which isn't very fun. It's not a satisfying meal.
Plus, it's
And
moldy.
they put those fake ass bacon bits on top.
That's right. You're not fooling anybody. And this movie apparently does fool some people. I can't explain. I mean, that's the wonderful thing, I guess, about it, is that there's a Friday the 13th for everybody, but someone put up a top 5 list where this was in their top 5.
No.
And I was like, there's just no way.
No.
I just don't find it humor. The humor here isn't that funny to make up for. It's just the audacity of an idea, but it doesn't make the most use of that idea. There are very cheap spaceship movies that do this better, and this is just, oh God,
It's not
terrible.
funny. None of this is funny. There are attempts at jokes, but none of it is fucking funny. I hate this movie. It's just...
It relies heavily on puns, which is, you should not rely heavily on puns. I mean, we'll get to, I mean, it's like, there's more than one character who their last line is some reference to how they are dying.
Yes.
And it's a wisecrack, and it's like, you know what? Nobody's fucking joking when they're dying. Nobody is having a brain aneurysm and saying, "Oh, I got a lot on my mind." I mean,
see, that would be funny if that was in the movie. I would laugh at that.
I mean, when it's having a heart attack and say, I guess I'm brokenhearted. Most people are like, "Oh, help me, I'm dying." I mean, nobody has time to get that one last joke in.
They're under a delusion that this works.
Oh, yeah.
They are really high on their own supply.
Yeah,
in terms of this.
I said it to Andrew before we started that it's if it's possible for a movie to be smug, this movie is very smug.
This is the Bill Maher of movies.
Yeah. Like, the movie is doing the equivalent of just turning to the camera and just looking at the audience and smiling, like, you know what we're talking about, right? And it's just like, oh, fuck you, movie.
Yeah, if the goal here is that they're under the belief that they and the audience are, quote unquote, in on the joke. Part of it is you have to have a joke. Otherwise, you're just yippity yapping at people, and there's a whole bunch of cartwheels, and nothing fucking matters. Oh my God. Let's stop talking about this dumbass fight between a robot and a serial killer who only delivers one punch. One punch for the whole time of their fight. That's not a fight. Oh, God. Brodsky gets in more licks than Jason Voorhees does in that fight. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, she blows his head off. And then everyone's like, it's over with. No one can recover from this. And no one thinks that she has bullet kicked him into the one room that can repair human bodies.
Yeah, I have questions. Let's just say, okay, so he regenerates. He's now, I don't think anybody ever actually refers to him as Uber Jason on screen.
I think that's
Thank
a
God.
fan thing. Yeah.
No, it's in the credits. He's listed as that
credits.
in the credits, but I don't think anybody actually says that. Thank
It's a
God.
shame. Someone should like, oh my God, he's turned into the Uber Jason.
Okay, I stand corrected. That might have almost made it worthwhile. So, okay, to give an overview, again, this presents technology that the audience was not aware of until now. That apparently this technology is so advanced it can bring back the dead. Which, okay, so why aren't they busy scooping up their friends and shipmates and nanoing them back to life? Because, and then it turns out, oh, well, if there's not enough tissue to regenerate, we'll just replace them with chrome. All right, that seems useful, I suppose. I mean, I guess a chrome arm would be pretty bitching.
Yeah.
But, so, okay, and then his appearance is, so he's half chrome, and including his mask. Now, question 3, I think I've written down here. Why doesn't it just regenerate his face?
He would be so beautiful.
Wouldn't it be great if he came out looking really handsome after this? Just
I don't know. Who would have
the
been like,
handsomest looking robot you've ever seen in your life.
Who would have been like late 90s handsome? I guess like Brad Pitt or something.
Yes.
Just a special cameo appearance by Brad Pitt as Uber Jason. But no, they regenerate the mask, which doesn't. I mean, he's still, it would just be his skull with a face on it. But no, it gives him a mask, and it looks like some shitty, hockey mask. It looks like some shitty hockey team mascot.
It's extreme, Gina. It's extreme with more than one
And
X.
he's got super cool red vampire eyes for some reason.
He also seems to now possess a very distinct gonad head. It's literally, without that mask, he's just a ball in a sack. Behind the mask, he is a mad ball, and then the only way to break it up is to give him mad vampire eyes.
I mean, it looks cool, I guess. The technology seems a little shaky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he had eyes before he and I'm not really sure I understand how. I mean, if it's DNA, then it should make him as he looked before he rotted away. I mean, am I incorrect, or I mean, he should be a normal, air quotes, looking person.
I guess I'll lean into, let's play. Although no one should really ever be devil's advocate. What's the harm? What
were they thinking of?
What were they thinking?
Yeah.
So if he has this altered DNA that can repair his own flesh, it's very possible, I guess. I wouldn't say very possible. It is possible that these nano ants are rebuilding his DNA and seeing how he can constantly regrow and adapt things, and has decided that it could, since it doesn't have enough raw flesh material, that it's going to then make up for that raw flesh material with this cybernetic I don't know. It's
Right,
just
but that doesn't-
bullshit.
but that
They
doesn't
just wanted to make a new makeup. That's what it comes
I was
down
gonna say,
to.
and that doesn't explain why they regenerate his mask.
Part of the mask is left. I guess the
but
ants are
masks
making a judgment call. Like he's a mask guy.
But masks don't have DNA in them.
But let's just say, I think that might be. Let's say the whole scene's plausible. Why does the machine start up? So this is an automatic
Sparks.
it's an
God
automatic
sparks.
process.
God sparks. It's the same. The God lightning that woke him up in part 6 happens in outer space. There are sparks, and that means ants come out, and the movie, because otherwise the movie would be over, and they don't want the movie to be over.
Of course, like losing power at this point, or something like that, right? Everything's malfunctioning.
Everything's malfunctioning. They can't open or close doors. They're gonna blow off the other pontoon because the spaceship is also a catamaran. And they're going to reach out to a rescue ship with the most ADR rescue person in the entire world. I'm surprised he isn't voiced by Frank Welker. That is how poor the ADR attempt is. He might as well be a Mel Blanc character.
Yeah, it does sound like the voiceover in like an early 90s. Remember Sega CD? It sounds like a character in one of those games.
Yeah, it's a full motion video character just coming right here.
And Uber Jason is super swole, y'all. This is when we were sick of that leather poncho. Now we're really gonna see the shape that he's in, and he's cut up and down. Oh my goodness. Look at the shape that he's in. And so he takes out KM in one punch. So now he's landed 2 punches. The second punch knocked her whole fucking head off, which we get to see for the rest of the movie, resting in Sunaran's arms like he's the Heisman.
The only kind thing I will say about this movie is that effect is kind of okay. Like it's not too obvious in seeing that he's carrying just a mannequin head under his arm. It's kind of okay. And that concludes the night. Am I saying anything nice about this movie?
They get into a fight in the hallway after Cam's whole head has been punched off, and Janessa makes a run for it, and Waylander gets caught at the other end of the hallway. And this is where we kind of get a sacrifice play.
Yeah.
Where
More
aliens, where Waylander gets to go full Gorman and done blow himself up.
This made me so fucking angry. He doesn't even get a cool line to say before he blows himself up. He just goes, "Hey,"
no.
And then, like, I swear to God, 10 seconds of silence pass, and they're looking at each other. And he goes,
"Yeah, again, it's another scene where like Jason just stands there, like I'm waiting." You know,
asshole.
He doesn't even say, "Hey, asshole." It's like he doesn't even get a slappy. They've run out of things to call him.
Like he cut him off in traffic. That's how angry he is at him right now.
There's no resignment. This is like, I'm too old for this shit or whatever. None of that. He's just like, hey, beep, blow up.
Hey, how about you? Goodbye.
Yeah.
Smell you later. Explosion.
Something, anything, but it refuses to do that. So they get in contact with Tiamat. Tiamat is some sort of fat-bootied rescue ship. Everything looks like an exercise ball with a fat ass on it in this movie in terms of spaceship design. God, it's just terrible. But this movie isn't done ripping off Aliens movies. That's right. It's decided to rip off Alien Resurrection, which up until recently was the worst of the Alien movies. And then people are like, whoa. We can do worse.
Hold my xenomorph.
Yeah, that's right. And this is just like a couple years after Alien Resurrection was released in theaters. So this is not something like this had been done twice. So they punch a hole in this fucking spaceship, and then Janessa struggles to grasp hands with 2 other people for what feels like a goddamn eternity.
Oh my God, it's so long.
Oh, and
the hands are just touching. The tips are like It's like, just grab it. You can grab it any moment. Just grab.
The worst part about it is that she has a necklace around her neck that's just hanging straight down the whole time.
No.
It's completely unaffected by the quote-unquote wind or the sucking action of this hole in the spaceship. No one worries about oxygen loss or anything like that. And you don't even get...
And she gets that wisecrack in.
Yes, it sucks on so many levels. Wah, wah. Which I... All right.
Like, and the thing, and you know, and again, among the many things that bug me about this movie is there's not even any particularly good payoff to these characters' deaths. She just, you know, flies away and there's an implausibly small hole where she gets sucked through and some fabric hanging off of it. It's just like, oh, well, okay, that was anticlimactic. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like the fabric should have been sucked out into space too. It's still gonna be coming out, right?
Yeah, the whole thing, because they do it off camera, they don't even give you part of it on camera. It's just a setup. It happens off camera, and then you see the after effects, and it's just not a payoff, not for a Friday the 13th movie, and it's just terrible.
I just have one more question.
Everyone should be ashamed. I'm ashamed that I decided to do this podcast, even though I knew I would have to talk about Jason X eventually.
I mean, I just have one question. She says this sucks on so many levels. So just like 2 levels? Really?
Yeah, I mean, well, let's list the ways it could suck. 1 is you're going to die. 2 is you're being sucked out by the vacuum of space.
The end.
Yeah, you're right, Andrew. It's 2 levels. It's not so many levels. It's 2 levels.
And you've left behind a hole in the hull of the ship that nobody bothers repairing.
No, they just seal the door, and then Jason knocks down that door, but that doesn't seem to have any effect.
I feel like he should be getting
on the rest of the
blown out,
spaceship.
too. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what makes him Uber Jason particularly? Like, nothing affects him?
He's a big robot guy. He doesn't...
I
mean, nothing killed him before, but now he's...
Like, KM's like, mega guns don't seem to have any
He's read
effect
some
on him
niche.
now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's got a big nut for a head.
He can pick you up late at night when you've had too much to drink and don't want to walk to the subway station.
Make sure you don't leave your purse inside of him, because you probably won't hear from him until the next morning. And, you know, he's got your ID. You have your phone, but that's about it. So yeah. So then they get in contact with this TMX ship, and it extends a blue penis out to connect to the ship.
I'm a little concerned by how many body parts you're seeing in this.
You're seeing a lot of
in
in
the art direction of this movie.
There's a lot of balls and peens in this movie. There really is. You're like, but Patrick, you're just seeing balls and peens. It's all it's presenting me with. That's all I'm left to talk about. So this is when, he starts to hammer his way through multiple doors in the spaceship, which does not cause a chain reaction, because one would assume the more areas you expose to the vacuum of space, the less structural sort of integrity the ship as a whole would have. This is the crazy thing about this is that Armageddon, a movie endorsed by NASA, features a sequence in which there's fire in space. I have hammered Armageddon on this ever since its release. But I'll tell you what, Armageddon is more scientifically accurate than Jason X. Huh? And this has been brought to you by Turning Point USA. Oh, God. I've run out of funny things to talk about. Wait a second. Let's get into the holodeck sequence. Jason's going through all these fucking doors, and it's a race against time to open the hatch in such a way so that they can get onto the big blue space penis and get onto the rescue ship. Brodsky has to go outside in order to do this. And so Sunron and KM's head concoct a plan that now they're going to divert Jason with VR technology. Now, this isn't a bad plan. It just isn't.
It's a terrible plan. It's a terrible plan.
It's terribly executed. I don't know that it's a terrible plan in and of itself.
Again, I had questions, but by this point, I was just too exasperated to write them down.
I think it would be better if they had tried it earlier and they had completely fooled Jason with it. Like,
yeah, I mean, again, this is some sort of like pulling a card from your sleeve. It's like, oh, did you know we could do this? And it's like, no, I didn't know you could do that. That you could make, you could generate. I mean, yeah, all right, fine. They did the scene with the Doom game or whatever, but those were just like projected monsters. They weren't creating an entire simulation of a place.
Well, it's not an entire simulation of the place. That's another problem I have with it. There are vines on metal girders.
Well,
the VR is presented.
But the further he walks into it, I guess. I mean, I don't really know how virtual reality works, but the more he walks into it, the more elaborate it gets. And movie, we didn't know they could do this, and that you could, and that apparently KM has something in her files that she knows what Crystal Lake looked like.
In a specific
Not
year,
only
too.
that, but she. Say that again, Andrew. I talked over you.
And the specific year, too. 1980, baby.
Yeah, that's right. And it's 1980 because, and this is might be the only thing I like about this entire section of the movie. You may have noticed the music gets better. That's because they're using the original soundtrack. And all of a sudden, the music for this movie gets infinitely better for exactly 2.5 minutes.
And like every other minute of this movie, it makes you wish you were watching a different movie.
Yes. All it does is reference a better Friday the 13th movie. And the other thing about it is because they've put vines on girders and made it insufficient, there's a CGI lake that's very obviously CGI. If he's Uber Jason, why doesn't his crazy vampire eyes instantly tell him that this is a VR simulation? Isn't part of his brain now electronic? Because they fucking reconstructed it out of nano ants.
Yeah, I mean, he's stronger physically, but still dumb as a bag of hammers.
Yes. Well, that's what he came to play with. I suppose nano ants can't fix everything. I'm not sure. But Jason is then presented with two quote-unquote 1980s girls who tempt Uber Penis with beer, pot, and premarital sex. And
you could tell that the filmmakers thought this scene was so fucking funny.
Oh, this is gonna get a huge reaction.
They just thought it's so funny. You know how these girls are in these movies. They're just big old sluts who take their shirts off. It's funny. It's like
she has big curls, like she's a member of the Charlie's Angels. People are gonna laugh.
It's so funny.
I mean, I'm surprised they weren't bruised. They were patting themselves on the back so hard.
You hear that wind flapping. That's the sounds of eyes winking. They're just so proud of themselves for this callback, this clever, subtle callback to the original Friday the 13th, which did not at any point involve young, busty women aggressively coming on to anybody.
No,
hey,
not
aren't these
at
movies
all.
Silly, guys? It's so funny.
Oh, God. We've lost our fucking minds. They are so proud of it.
We're going to sound like Event Horizon. Just maniacally cackling the last 5 minutes
I'm really getting to the point where gouging out my eyes is a viable solution because where I'm going, I'm not going to need them. Jason responds to the simulation. They get into 2 sleeping bags for reasons.
I guess he's supposed to like pick one. Okay, I will say. Okay, I'm gonna say another positive thing. Mm-hmm. I did find like how they cut away from him and they cut back and he's just like having a pillow fight with himself with these 2 sleeping bags, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny. I don't know if they intended it to be, but it's kind of funny that he's just like, it's just like he's bashing 2 sacks of potatoes against each other.
On the ADR from one of the girls, it doesn't tell you who is. One of them says, "Ooh, my spine," once it connects the sleeping bags together. But once again, it's doing a better gag. This was done better in part 7. In part 7, this was done better. So that tells you how poor this is. But eventually, Jason looks through a door and Sunaran goes, "Oh, I think he saw me." You didn't cover up the fucking door? What? Why did you keep the fucking door open? All these doors close. Why doesn't the VR shield the doorway? Oh my God, this stupid fucking movie.
But to be fair, it is a really funny scene.
It is. It's so funny that's the thing. You never cut funny, and it forgives the terribleness of it because you yourself are just lost in the humor of the situation.
You get the joke. It's funny.
We're all in on this joke. It's so funny. It's just the funniest.
It just works.
It just works.
You can't question humor.
Yeah.
What do they say? It's like you can't figure out how a joke works.
No.
You watch it. It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
Jason X is funny.
It's the funniest. It may be the funniest movie I've ever seen. It's a laugh riot from beginning to end.
My sides are aching.
It really
Hey,
is.
he just wanted his machete, guys. It's really funny. That's what he wanted. Get it?
So during this time, Rowan is poking a lit up wall with a magic wand, while Brodsky is outside poking another wall with a magic wand.
Hey.
And eventually they figure out the right parts of the wall to poke to open up the door. Sunaran runs in, Rowan runs in, and then Sunaran goes, "Oh my God, I forgot the head of my robot girlfriend." And he doesn't go get it. Rowan does. Are you fucking kidding me? He can't even get up to get the robot head of his robot girlfriend?
He just got comfortable.
Well, he's laughing so hard that sometimes your abs get sore. You're like, oh my God, I can't really get up.
You know that scene before is really funny. I'm just laughing remembering it.
Oh my God. We went to the Denny's later that night and told ourselves the sequence over and over again and could not stop laughing there.
I just really love the part when they offer him pot. I mean, that's so, I mean, how do you come up with stuff like this?
Pot sweet, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a marijuana.
Yes, the drug.
Yes, I realize it may be a little sophisticated for a younger audience, but you'll get it.
I do.
Yeah,
I get it. I get the joke. I get the joke movie.
So Rowan Sunaran and KM Head managed to make their escape, but the bridge gets busted. And Jason leaps out of the spaceship as it's blowing up, like this is Die Hard 2 or something. They're like, oh my God, he's coming in here. He's coming at this spaceship. And then Brodsky saves the day by slim pickings himself into Jason
I think my favorite part about this is they're just kind of slowly flying away. It reminds me of the "Can you read my mind" scene from Superman.
It's very romantic. Jason cannot turn around at any point in this. He's just holding onto a machete. Again, Jason does not know how to fight. He's kind of like Superman in that way. Like, Superman's just too strong. He just uses brute strength, but he doesn't have skills. And so Brodsky is able to get on top of him like the prime collegiate wrestler that he is. And just Doctor Strange loves him into the atmosphere of Earth 2, maybe? Why is there one rescue spaceship outside of Earth 2? Shouldn't there be dozens of available spaceships outside of this Earth 2?
Yeah, they're really close.
Or are they
to
at like
Earth
Earth 5 where they don't have a lot of spaceships, man?
I mean, think about that. They're right there.
They're right there. Like, it doesn't have to be Earth 2. But
for being a space-based future, it's pretty desolate.
It really is. Not a lot of people have survived. Because they're all fucking stupid. And so they burn up, and they should burn up in the atmosphere. They really, really should burn up in the atmosphere. But lo and behold, we are left with this teaser in which two space teens watch a falling star, and then one with her back to the camera goes, "It landed in the lake." And then we get a cutaway shot to Uber Jason's half-burned mask falling ever so gracefully down to the water. Oh no, he can become Fish Toilet Man again.
And wisely they have not made another one of these except for the reboot.
But there's a crucial line right before it ends where the one teen goes, "Hey, let's go check it out, because that's what we do in these movies. It's so silly. It's funny."
Let's go check out a falling star.
We've never seen the Blob before. What's the worst that could happen? We live in outer space.
Let's see something that should be miles away.
Yes. Oh my god. So if you're wondering, can anything kill Jason Voorhees? Yes. Jason X killed Jason Voorhees. This killed off this movie franchise for a good long while, and for good reason, because it is terrible.
It is dog shit. I mean, I cannot. I told you everything I found positive about this movie. One was that KM's head did not look too bad. and two, that the weird cutaway to Jason already in mid-kill with the two VR girls, which again, how do you kill them? I mean, they're not real, so right. How is he killing them? Exactly. Ideally he should be just kind of putting his fist right through them or whatever. But and I don't even know if that cutaway was intentionally supposed to be funny. I just thought it was funny the way he's standing there, and then the next minute he's like thump thump thump, and it's just it's just so poorly done that I found it amusing.
I agree with you.
I hate this movie
100%. This is a terrible movie. It's so depressing that the end credits music.
I didn't even. As soon as it went dark, I'm like, click, never again.
It sounds like. Do you remember John Carpenter's band, the Coupe de Villes, from the Big Trouble in Little China soundtrack?
Yes.
Well, does Henry Manfredini.
The best in dad rock.
The best. This is the poorest attempt at a Coupe de Ville-esque song I've ever heard. It's just soulless and tired, and it sounds like it was produced on Quaaludes for Quaaludes. Oh, God. I never want to have to watch this movie again. Mm-hmm. And so that brings us mercifully to choose your own death venture time. What is it? Well, that's when we decide if the deaths presented in this section of the movie, which one we would choose for ourselves if we had to, and why. Up for bid this time, blow yourself up Gorman style in a space hallway, or you could be beaten to death with a teen camper, with another teen buying. Oh, fuck it. beaten to death with another teen camper while you're in a sleeping bag, or slim pickings your way through the upper atmosphere of Earth 2. And so, Andrew, as our guest, we are going to ask you for your answer first.
Oh, number one for bullet. I'm blowing myself up.
Yeah.
It's just, see, I want a cool ending line, not like Waylander just going, "Hey, asshole." I want to go like, "Hey, we're gonna be toast, and you are too. Goodbye."
Did I push your buttons? Push button.
I reef it there, cheap motherfucker. That puts a nice continental flair on it.
Yeah, I like that. Well, that'll play very well overseas. Gina, what say you?
Well, you did leave out Janessa's death.
Oh, that's right. You can get sucked out through a grate.
But I'm gonna take Brodsky's death because, well, his second death, I guess, if you want to call it that. Because I think that the idea of being turned to space dust is kind of nice.
Yes, it's your own. Yeah, you're not getting an open casket funeral, that's for sure.
And he looked pretty chill with it. He looked, at peace with his decision.
Yes, it's what he's always wanted to do, which is ride an undead serial killer into the atmosphere. Like the Silver Surfer.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. Why not go in a really spectacular fashion?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm choosing the slim pickings my way into the afterlife. That is a way to go. In fact, I'm asking my wife if I ever really fall ill, that's how I want to go out.
Just have her, strap your ashes to the back of a serial killer or just launch him into space.
I mean, is that so hard? Can't you do something for me?
Just put him in put you in a thermos.
I'm probably going to end up in a thermos anyways, Gina.
No one's going to be able to afford a funeral.
No.
By the time we get to dying age, just going to, just throw us in a dump.
Really? We're going to walk into... Wait a second. How did you come in?
You don't announce. Long story.
80s kids will remember when their loved ones got a proper burial.
Why do millennials hate the burial business? They're killing the death business. Oh, God. Oh, damn this movie. All right, Andrew. Where can people hear more from you?
You can listen to Talking About Turtle, your one-stop shop for Entourage Slop. We are currently writing the next season. It is going to be a horrible ordeal because it's going to be a lot scripted series.
You may be suffering more than us with the whole Entourage thing, because it seems like a joke that started the whole world laughing and then you're left holding it.
Well, I'm not watching the show anymore. It's just about two guys trying to make it in the podcast business.
There you go. And so, Gina, where can people find you on the internet?
I write about old television and movies and pop culture at GinaRadcliffe.com, and I am on Twitter more or less under Porcelain72.
That's right. Do it today, people. You want to reach out to us. Twitter's the easiest way to do it. I mean, it's full of horrible Jedi haters and Nazis, but we're also there. We're reasonably pleasant at Kill by Kill Pod. You want to say more to us than 280 characters? Reach out to us on email, killbykillpod@gmail.com, or Instagram, Kill by Kill Podcast. We have a Facebook page and group if you want to discuss these films in more detail, or just talk Friday the 13th or slashers in general. We're open to all conversations. Speaking of which, we are in the single digits away from breaking the century mark on our iTunes reviews. Please, if you have not already, we don't ask much from you, but we would ask that if you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes. It really does help. And if you tell us what your favorite kill is from the Friday the 13th franchise or any of the films that we've covered, we will read it here on the air to you. That is our solemn promise to you, the Kill by Kill listener. And so where are we going next? Why, it's the ultimate 80s slasher. That's right. We're talking Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando. And I know what you're saying to yourself, but Patrick, that's not a slasher movie. You're wrong. And I'm going to prove it over God knows how many episodes it's going to take to get through the insane swath of dead bodies that are on display in Commando. We're going to prove that it is the ultimate slasher movie because it's full of death puns and awkward romances and terrible costuming decisions. It might feature too much underwear, but that's the only negative that you're going to find when we get to it. It's going to be super fun. And so for myself, for Andrew, for Gina, that's all. The body count will continue. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Kill by Kill is produced by We Write Good and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Friday the 13th is owned by Paramount Pictures. Jason is owned by New Line Cinema. No infringement is intended. Kill by Kill logo was designed by Josh Hollis. Visit him at joshhollis.com. The Kill by Kill theme was created exclusively for us by Revenge Body. Get the whole track and much, much more at revengebodymemphis.bandcamp.com today.